Welcome everybody to our first Adelaide Microsoft Copilot user group.
So that's why I haven't been here before.
Sorry?
That's why I haven't been to this meetup before.
Yep. So, yes, thank you everyone. We'll be kicking off with a guest speaker who is in Melbourne. It will be a virtual session for today. Andrew Coates is on the line, so I'll introduce and hand over to him shortly. But yes, thank you very much for attending today's meeting, and welcome to everyone who doesn't know my face. My name is Daniel Brown. I've been doing user groups for a while now. Officially, it started with the SharePoint user group back in 2007, then evolved Office 365 and the M365 user group also currently running as well this year, and that will be on Wednesday, the 20th of this month. We'll also have Carlo here from Microsoft presenting in person as well. So this year we're very much moving back to in-person events. We're happy to have the online presence, but I think as moving forward, it's better for us as a community to come together and really, support the come together and do all the great things we can do in person, while still potentially having our Teams guest users. Hello to everyone on the Teams list. We've got a few of them there as well. I've got the control center. Hang on. First off, we do have the Microsoft AI tour as well. There's still a lot of people there. I know Tom is up there as well. All accounts, it looks to be pretty cool. I haven't had a chance to catch up with it today. I've been hammered. So if anyone's been paying attention, Andrew? No? All right. By all accounts, it looks pretty successful. Essentially, if you're unaware of the AI tour, it's pretty much pick the big countries, big cities in the world. Microsoft is sending everyone big week over there to do AI, essentially. So everything from ChatGPT to OpenAI to Copilot to the ethics to how it's applied. Big one-day event taking place in Sydney today. On that note, there's also the Perth Copilot user group kicking off in about 2.5 hours as well. They start at 3 p.m. their time. So by the time we finish here, if you want to dial into there, more than free to. So we're all here because of Microsoft Copilot. So it seems to be a very in-your-face product at the moment. AI is everywhere, Copilot's everywhere, and that's why we sort of come here to learn Copilot. I could have sworn I had some slides in between that, but Microsoft is innovating, and now that's disappearing. Microsoft has really innovated in this space. I mean, they've taken AI, ChatGPT, OpenAI, and really leveraged it throughout their entire product suite. They are leading very much in this space. I know everyone thinks ChatGPT is a leader, and they are, but Microsoft also owns 49% of them as well, as part of that package deal that then leads to Azure AI, which is then on the Azure stack, and off we go. So to give a quick depth and breadth of Copilot, pretty much every application, including Microsoft Paint, now has Copilot. Or the Designer tab, even using I actually created this slide with Designer for PowerPoint. So originally I had the background, and if you've been looking at my posts on LinkedIn lately, I've got the image with my face and all that sort of stuff. Took one of them. It asked me, hey, this looks pretty cool. Yep, did. Boom, put the thing on there, Microsoft Copilot ecosystem. So it's really coming and spreading its tentacles through every app, every aspect of the 365 platform and beyond. So things like the Windows desktop, which is now integrated into Copilot, depending on which license you've got, whether it's grounded in or would be referred to as Bing or grounded into the M365 tenancy. There is a whole bunch of information around Copilot, so we're going to keep going with these user groups meetings. As a brief one-line summary, we meet on the first Wednesday of each month. Now, traditionally, I haven't done a December meeting because I've always had the M365 user group on the third Tuesday of the month, so that's Christmas. So this one, it will definitely be between February and December. First Wednesday of each month, and we've got a whole bunch of aspects of where Copilot will sit, what we'll cover. We will be covering everything from introduction to dev to Copilot to personal assistant to AI generation to generative text. It's a wide breadth. I am still trying to get someone from Microsoft Ethics also to potentially come and talk to about how they do their ethics, how trustworthy it is, what goes behind that. Your data is not actually used to train the model, but it's used to interact. But we'll flush all of that out. Other groups now, Adelaide traditionally has had a lot of user groups as well. So for my thing, it was the .NET user group that got me sucking into it all this many years ago. But we also have, oops, that's not the Office 365. That's now been renamed the Microsoft 365 user group. But we also got .NET, data analytics, Power BI, Dynamics. I'm not too sure. Yep. And the Azure or Azure data group is potentially rumors of starting back up again. And then we've also got the Adelaide IT Pro user group on as well. So how does we as a user group sit in? Traditionally, we've got all our domains, but because Copilot is such a wide aspect, we're looking at sort of having our own group here and going on from there. But we also want to sort of compensate and support each other's group as well. Our sponsors, so we've got Microsoft for the venue, Archon, which is my consultancy firm, and Nuago as the catering sponsor today. I was hoping to have someone from Nuago here, but I don't see. Oh, okay, cool. Cool. Do you want to do a quick put you on the spot because Connor was meant to?
Of course. I guess, yeah, thank you so much for coming today. Obviously, Copilot and Microsoft is an important part of all of our businesses and our clients' businesses. Can you have a discussion? Should you wish to know more? Obviously, thank you to Daniel Brown and his team. With the help of those guys, we're enabling our customers. And it's a very interesting space for us. I'm sure all of our lives moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, talking to Connor, yeah, thank you very much. Please pass on thanks to him for the pizzas and drinks. And Archon is my firm, as I said, Microsoft for the venue. So with that, I haven't said much on Copilot because I'm going to hand over to guest speaker Andrew Coates, who's actually, I forget your title, sorry, Andrew, Microsoft, over based in Melbourne. He has many titles over the years, and I'm very grateful that he's been able to present at our inaugural meeting. Traditionally, I would have had someone in person, but with Andrew's breadth of knowledge in Copilot, I think it's really worthwhile having Andrew present and bringing in that talent locally into Adelaide as well. Being the user group lead for so long, there's only so much I can present on before you get bored of hearing my voice. So Microsoft Teams and the remote really allows us to sort of bring those international voices, even though Coates is only from Melbourne, but that will change, to Adelaide so we can actually get new insights, new knowledge, and sort of increase that diversity, really to bring all of us further through our Copilot journey. Because as it stands, Copilot is going to be a journey for most people. It's going to be very in-depth and very involved, but that's more so the implementation side of things rather than the adaptive use. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Andrew. You there, Andrew?
I am. Thanks, Dan. Let me present this particular presentation. Waiting for it to come up.
Cool. Excellent. Are you presenting at the moment, Andrew?
I'm starting, mate. It's kicking it off.
Oh, cool.
There we go. I hit the present button. That'll make all the difference in the world. I do like your background, though.
Yeah, the Book of the Dead from the ancient Egyptian Book of the Dead.
Indeed. So my title, Principal Software Development Engineer now. It's a bit of a shame that they've changed it. I used to revel in the title of Developer Evangelist, which I loved. But that job title got kind of changed and moved away into different teams, and I get to be a software development engineer now, which sounds much less unique, let's put it that way. But still do lots of fun things. My particular focus at the moment is on low-code tools, and particularly in low-code tools, it's around conversational AI. And my particular focus in low-code tools is how do we get professional developers to use them and to adopt their benefits without losing any of the rigor of being a proper software engineer. So that's my day job. I really like this Copilot Studio thing, and I've done a bit of presenting on various things in the past, as Daniel said. So I jumped at the chance when he offered me the opportunity to come and chat with you all. Just one quick clarification: it's Sydney, not Melbourne. We've got a lovely harbour, they've got a muddy creek, and that's probably enough said about that. My LinkedIn is behind that QR code. So if you want to jump on and at some stage connect with me, I'd love to hear from you. I'll also put it up again at the end. So that'll be there. I've been at Microsoft just gone 20 years now, and in that time, I've been a community person and a software developer. And in fact, all of that time, all my software development work has been around tools that take away the drudgery. I've always said that a good software developer has two traits. They're boastful and lazy. Boastful, and they want other people to know what they've been doing and share all of their knowledge, and lazy, and they never want to write something they don't have to write. If someone else has already written it and it works and it's tested, then there's no point in me rewriting from scratch. I'm much better off adopting it, and particularly if it's been productized and is maintained and by someone else, that's fantastic. So the tools like Copilot Studio and the other low-code tools in the Power Platform and elsewhere are very near and dear to my heart, and that sort of stuff always has been the case. Some of you may remember Visual Fox Pro back in the day. That was my native language, and that's kind of where I got started with this low-code integration journey, although low-code then meant something very different from what it means now. Speaking of between then and now, let's talk about the future, and it really is conversational. Many of you will have heard of this conversational AI trend. In fact, I'd be surprised if you didn't. A, you wouldn't be here today, but B, you'd probably be living under a rock. And there's a good reason that this is all the rage, because this is a really interesting graph that I saw. So this is the time it took from initial release to 100 million users for various technologies over the last little while. Mobile phones took about 16 years. Internet took about 7 years. Facebook about 4.5, and ChatGPT about 3 months. So we're increasing our technology adoption. I dread to think what the next thing is going to be. It's actually going to be a backwards line by the look of it. I'm not sure that's how asymptotes work, but that's it really does look frighteningly vertical, how fast this stuff's getting adopted. And so I'm really excited about this opportunity, and I'm also a little bit hesitant about it in a way, because some of these things we are adopting super fast without necessarily the experience that we might otherwise have had to be aware of the sort of things we need to look out for. So we're very much learning that on the fly. As Daniel said, Microsoft's very well positioned from that point of view, in that we've got some very smart people thinking really hard about some of the problems that come up, and our responsible AI and our AI ethics teams are at the forefront of everything we're doing in AI. And when I say everything we're doing in AI, it's pretty much everything we're doing, with the exception of one or two other small projects. Pretty much all of Microsoft is down tools and jumped on making AI work. And we'll talk in a little while about the number of different copilots there are at Microsoft. But it's a really exciting time to be part of this technology trend, and a really exciting time to be both using and delivering the tech. We should start with kind of what is a copilot. I actually really like the name Copilot, because it implies that it's something there to assist without necessarily being in charge. So it's using artificial intelligence to assist humans with complex cognitive tasks, whether that's writing something or reading something and discerning its intent, whether it's creating an image or whatever it happens to be. We can describe what we want in natural language, and in fact, not just a single description. It's usually a multi-turn contextual description of what we want. We get some output. We revise it. We change the way we ask the question or provide the prompt. And as things get more and more complex, the Copilot provides more and more value, be it large amounts of data or more complex interactions. It's really a powerful way of doing things. If you've played with ChatGPT, and I'm guessing you're probably one of the 100 million people who has in the first 3 months of ChatGPT's existence, you will understand the sort of things that you can do. But I think we're only scratching the surface at the moment, and some of the stuff that's going on with adding the ability for example, have multiple artificial intelligent agents talking to each other to achieve a task, each of them with a slightly different set of goals. is really, really interesting. There's a great example of one where like there are 4 or 5 AI agents that are put together in a software development company, for want of a better, it's a virtual software development company. There's one working as a product owner, there's one that's working as a developer, there's one that's working as a DevOps engineer, there's one that's working as a tester, there's one that's working as an IT pro, and they all interact to produce software, and it's a really interesting way of doing it. And the stuff you see as a human is just most of the time just the tip of the iceberg. Of course, you can drill down and to see what interactions are actually happening, but most of it's going on so quickly and so interactively that you're getting glimpses is probably a better approach. Anyway, there's some fascinating stuff going on in that space. We ask questions like, in the age of AI, how do I streamline business processes and stay competitive and make my employees more productive? And that's the sort of thing we can do with these artificial intelligent agents. So let's look at the Copilot ecosystem in Microsoft, given this is the Microsoft Copilot, Adelaide Microsoft Copilot user group. There are many Copilots. And in fact, Daniel showed you that graphic before. There are over 80 different products at Microsoft that are branded Copilot currently. Each of them, by the way, has been reviewed and approved by the Copilot board. We've got a centralized process that you go through if you're going to release the Copilot, and there are a number of steps that have to go through, including ethics and responsible AI reviews and a bunch of security reviews and those sorts of things. Lots of things around stuff like localization and making sure that that the output is suitable, not just in the predominantly American culture where it's developed, but also in other cultures around the world. So some really fascinating stuff from that point of view. And so one of the great things about having a company the size of Microsoft be able to do the development of artificial intelligence copilots is that we have the resources to dedicate to that sort of Uber level overview. So I think that's pretty exciting. One of the probably most prominent copilots is this one that you've probably seen before, where you can take large language models and use the Microsoft Graph and the apps and the internet, and that's called Copilot for Microsoft 365. It gives us a surface on top of the applications and servers that we use day to day in Microsoft 365 to really add value. And so you basically can change your drafts and edits of emails. You can catch up on meetings. You can look at data. But as I said, the important thing about Copilot is that it's not doing stuff for you without your approval. It's making sensible suggestions based on the context that you provide it, and really providing you with valuable assistance rather than taking over what you do. What's coming up next? Well, interesting stuff around bringing your own data, customizing Copilot with automation, and controlling the output. So one of the things that you'll often hear people asking questions about is, well, if I've got this corpus of knowledge and people can ask questions over it, how do I control who gets to see what? And of course, one of the things about Microsoft 365 is that you can set those sorts of controls over data in various places, whether it lives in Dataverse and databases, whether it lives in documents and SharePoint libraries, or in OneDrive, or sort of other places as well. You can set access levels, and those things are all respected by the various copilots that work with it. What I thought I'd do is actually run a little video. In fact, I've got 3 videos to show today in a demo. This first video talks about how Microsoft 365 Copilot works in terms of where it gets its data and how it does its things. Then we'll talk about some of the specific Copilots in Microsoft 365 and have a look at a video of one of those in particular. But let's start off by looking at this video from Microsoft of how it all works. So I'm going to mute my microphone at this end while I play it so we don't get too much feedback. As I said, there's a number of Copilots in Microsoft 365. Here are some for a start.
Sorry, Andrew, just to interrupt. Are
Yes,
you
mate.
able just to turn your mic up? Sorry.
Turn my mic up. No, let's try.
Yeah, sorry, it's just a little low. Where the video is about 10 times louder.
Ah, what if I get a bit closer? Is that any better?
Yeah, that's a bit better.
All right. What if I this? Is that any better? No. Hello, 1, 2. Sound good? Oh, you're muted. Yeah. Yeah.
You're coming
Yeah,
through fine.
no, all good.
You're coming through
Excellent.
fine on online, Andrew.
Thanks,
so,
Pete.
Daniel, there
Awesome.
might be some volume controls on the desk there that might be done, but I think pretty much it's set to being loud as it can be.
All right. I will continue then. Lots and lots of Copilots in Microsoft 365 doing various things, meeting catch-ups in Teams, creating beautiful presentations, as you saw with Daniel's in PowerPoint, whiteboard organizing stuff, Copilot in Excel for data definition. What I thought we'd do though, Outlook, of course, for helping you write and read emails and find action items and a bunch of other things like that. What I thought we'd do though is have a look at Copilot in Word and to see the sorts of things that you can do. And this is just one example of one of the Copilots in Microsoft 365. I think that's pretty neat. There's some very cool stuff in there and some really assistive technologies that make some of the drudgery go away and allow us to concentrate on the creative and interesting bits of our jobs. Oops, let's go back. Oh, there we are. All right. So as I said, there's lots of stuff in Microsoft 365, but a bunch of others as well. Dynamics 365 has got a bunch of Copilots. Windows has got a Copilot. GitHub, if you're doing any dev work, the GitHub Copilot is amazing. The security Copilot helping you find things. And one that's near and dear to my heart is Copilot for Power Platform. The interesting thing about this is it kind of fits in this spectrum of Copilots that we've got at Microsoft, all of which that you can see on the screen there are either developed in or are enhanceable by Microsoft Copilot Studio. And they all sit on top of a bunch of services that have been around for a little while. So the Bot Framework SDK, the bots and bot service channels, Azure AI Studio, cognitive services, a bunch of connectors, all those things fit together. And this is one of the really exciting things and powerful things about Microsoft Copilots is that they're built on top of proven, scalable, maintainable, monitorable enterprise technology and presented to you as a SaaS offering that really allows you to take advantage of the economies of scale and the economies of development work that Microsoft has done.
I'm excited to show you how.
All right. I'm going to press pause there for a sec because I did want to say a couple of things before I started this video. Yes, maybe I can reduce the video sound, or maybe I can't. Let's have a look. I should have done it maybe before. We'll see how I go. I'm no promises, I'm sorry. I did want to talk about this video. This is quite a long video. It's about 7 minutes, 7.5 minutes. So strap in. But there's a few things in here that I really want you to look out for. The first one is this is a Copilot that fits inside a third-party product. In this particular case, what you're seeing there is a Salesforce console with a Copilot inside it. Now, one of the things that Microsoft has done is released these sort of Copilots for particular workloads, and this one's called Copilot for Service. There's a Copilot for Sales and a few other things as well, which not only use Microsoft services but plug into or have the ability to interface with existing popular tools from other vendors, because we understand that most people don't simply live in a Microsoft only world. They live in a world which combines a bunch of different tools and services. And so the Service Console in Salesforce, there's a ServiceNow console, there's Genesis, there's a few others, and we can get information from places like Zendesk and others. These are really interesting and commonplace things that we'll see. And so we've built these technologies on top of our own stacks, but also using the common bases of technology and services that are provided by third parties. So this one's called Copilot for Service, and I wanted to play this and see if we can and show you some of the neat things that are going on here. Notice in this screen, by the way, if you've used this console for Salesforce before, there is a Copilot that's kind of been inserted as a part of the screen here, and we'll talk about how that got there in a little while. So I will try reducing my volume a little bit. We'll see how that goes. And then I will press play and see what happens. And otherwise, I'm sorry, maybe Daniel, you could hand out some of those foam earplugs if required. Yeah, so I hope you're super excited as well. I actually really like that video because it shows a few things. It shows that integration piece that I talked about at the start, and it also shows the transition we've got from some of the copilots that like Copilot for Service and also Microsoft 365 copilots and their extensibility points through Copilot Studio. So let's talk about building conversational AI. It's kind of evolved over time. It used to be something that really only data scientists and specialized vendors could do. It kind of moved in-house a bit when we sort of started working with bot framework. We got to PVA where sort of low-code users could build bots. And then more recently, we've started to be able to build our conversational AI with more conversational AI, bootstrapping our capabilities by doing things like generative answers and topics authored simply through natural language that really enhance the capability of people who are not necessarily developers, but who want to take advantage of the commoditized conversational AI that's available through these tools. Let's talk about Copilot Studio, which is kind of where that last piece is from. It gives you a bunch of different things. I've got a matrix of stuff there with everywhere from UX and logic and automation, all the way through to security and governance and ALM. We've got over 1,000 connectors to first-party and third-party products that are part of the Power Platform system. That mean that instead of having to write your own ServiceNow connector or Twilio connector or Salesforce connector or SAP connector, those things already exist, and you can just connect up to them using the authentication process you always use to go and get access to the things that the user who's logged into the Copilot would normally have access to. Really, really powerful stuff. So you can make internal Copilots, you can make customer Copilots that are available to customers through chat interfaces, or you can extend the existing Copilots that we talked about, things like Microsoft 365, but also Copilot for Sales and Service and a bunch of others using this tool. So rather than just talk about that, I thought it'd be better if I showed you a demo of building a Copilot with Copilot Studio. So let me, I'm just going to stop sharing this. Yep. And then I'm going to share this screen. Back, don't know what happened. Sorry about that, but I'm going to share the screen and show you a Copilot creation process. So let me go back over here. What I'm here, I'm in Copilot Studio, and the easiest way to get to Copilot Studio is copilotstudio.microsoft.com. And I'm at the, if you've done any work in Power Platform before, you'll know that we talk about working in environments. So I've got a developer environment set up here just for the purpose of this, and I'm going to create a new Copilot. Not many of you will know that on the weekends, I'm a cricket umpire. In fact, I umpire first grade here in Sydney. I have done for about 7 or 8 years now. And I am the chair of our Umpire Association's examination committee. So I'm a bit of a nufty about the cricket laws. So I thought I'd write a Copilot that would allow people to interact with the laws of cricket. So let's create a new Copilot. I'm going to call it UmpBot. What of a better name? And I'm going to use the MCC's Laws of Cricket site, which is this one here, as my source of knowledge. Now, it could be an internal site that I was going to use, but I'm actually going to use this external site. I'll pop that in here. Don't need the HTTPS on there. So that's great. I'm just going to go and edit these advanced options as well and do one little thing here where we turn off these lesson topics. And I'm happy with that as the icon. So we'll hit create here. And I don't know how much we paid for this animation, by the way, but I'm sure it was worth it. This is going to take a moment or two to spin up a bunch of services, do a bunch of configuration on our SaaS platform, and basically create for me a conversational AI agent, including a dialogue manager and a generative AI engine that will allow me to go and interact with that website essentially that we set up. So I'm Upbot, a virtual assistant, use AI, and let's ask about it. So let's ask some interesting questions. I'm going to ask this question here, and I want to know if you'd know the answer to this question. So, question is, for a ball to be a no ball, sorry, for it to be a not to be a no ball, where must the bowler's feet land? See if you know the answer to that question. I'm going to see if the bot knows the answer to that question. Yeah. So there are two things. In fact, there are three things that must happen with for it not to be a no ball with the placement of the feet. You may have noticed recently, by the way, if you've been watching the cricket, when they go to a review, they no longer say they've checked the front foot and it's a fair delivery. Now they say I've checked the placement of the feet and it's a fair delivery, because the no ball law actually has both feet that need to be in a particular place. So the front foot's got to be some part of it raised or grounded behind the popping crease, which is the back of the front line, and must have some part of it on the same side of the imaginary line during the two middle stumps of the return crease. And the back foot must land within and not touching the return crease, which is the one perpendicular to the popping crease. So there you go. The bot's been able to answer that. We didn't do a whole lot of programming, you might see. We just said, I want to point at this website. I'm going to ask a question, and here you can tell me what it is. And in fact, the no ball law, it actually gives me a link. You might be able to see it on the bottom there to the no ball law, which is the laws of cricket, no ball. We can do things like ask it, what's the role of the umpires? We don't need a 2 there, it's just in my little notes. And it'll go and find that out. So these are fairly specific questions that have got pretty easy to find answers if you did a search for role of the umpires. I'm going to ask a more complex question now. And this is a pretty esoteric one that many umpires don't get right. But it says, if the players leave the field within 30 minutes of the scheduled tea break, when should tea be taken? And the answer to this question is, if it's in 30 minutes of the tea break, the end of it should be taken immediately. Now, that's interesting. That's given me a different answer from what it gave me last time. Because last time it gave me the correct answer, which is if they live within 30 minutes of the tea interval, then it should be taken immediately, which is different from, and don't you love doing live demos? But if I ask the same question but about the lunch interval instead, the players leave with 30 minutes of the lunch interval, when should it be taken? The difference is that between lunch and tea, if they leave within 30 minutes of the lunch interval, lunch should still be taken at the normal agreed time, the original scheduled time. It's only if you leave within 10 minutes of the lunch interval that you take lunch straight away. So those two things should be different answers, and it's found some answers. So how does all this work? Well, if I'm setting this up for the Umpires Association, then I've now got a way of that people can query the laws of cricket. But there might be some other things that I want this conversational bot to be able to do, like work out, to tell people how to contact the association. So I could point it at our association site with some contact details. In fact, our site's down at the moment, so it's a bit harder to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to point it at a new topic. So I'm going to go and create a new topic from blank. And I'm going to call this topic contact details. And the way this works is it says, I want to be able to answer this question when it's asked. I don't want to go off and look at the website unless I can't find a topic that allows me to answer this question. So we get these phrases. So I'll edit these phrases, and I'll edit some phrases that might work. How about this? Just going to copy and paste these in here. So 5 different ways people could ask this question. And the reason I give it 5 like this is because that what's happening in the background is it's training a natural language model, an artificial intelligence natural language model, that if someone asks a question that is like one of these, it'll redirect to this particular topic. Press enter there, and they'll all get added. So they get added as phrases. And now, all I want it to happen is, I'm just going to move this across here a little bit. All I want to happen is I'm going to, when they ask this question, I want to respond with a message and tell them exactly how to get in touch with us. So I'm going to say, I'm going to send a message, and it's going to say something like this. And I've got the ability to format it, at least to some extent. And that's great. So I'm going to hit save. And I'm now going to ask a question. And I contact the association. Now it responds, rather than going off and doing its generative AI thing, it gives us a scripted response. Now you can imagine this might be really useful if you wanted to have absolute control over the answer that the bot gave to specific questions. And you can imagine that's the case where you've got a specific legal requirement to answer in a particular way, or that your PR people have approved a set of wording and so on. So that's really key. Of course, we're not restricted to just displaying information. We can also, for example, ask a question and take some action based on the response. So let's add a question node. And the question might be something like, would you like us to contact you? Well, would you like to fill in a contact form so we can keep you up to date with the latest news and events? Now, we actually really only want a yes or no here. So we're going to take what they call a Boolean response. Now, we've got a whole bunch of different things we get asked for here, and I'll show you some more of these a bit later on. But one of the key things that that Copilot Studio does is it comes with a whole bunch of pre-built entities, and it can identify entities both inside other phrases, but also on their own. And it can reject things that don't fit that particular mold. In this particular case, we're going to save our variable as the very originally named var1. And we're going to do something based on their response. So we're going to add a condition. We're going to say if var1 is equal to true, up in the right place. Then we're going to do something. Any other thing we're going to do is we're going to say we're just going to end the we're just going to end all the topics, end the current topics. So they don't want us to do anything else. We're just going to end the current topic. So we could. Now, if they do say they want us to do something, then we're going to go off and ask for that additional information and probably store it in a database and those sorts of things. So let's look at how we might do that. I'm going to hit save. Go back to topics, and we're going to create a new topic to go and grab that information. So we're going to add a new topic, but instead of doing it from blank this time, I'm going to create it from a description. I'm going to use the Copilot for Copilot Studio to create a brand new topic. So let's call our topic something like capture customer information. And we'll prompt the Copilot to give us a topic that does these things. Collect the user's first and last name, their email address, postal address, phone number, and date of birth. Also allow them to choose how they'd like to be contacted between email, post, phone, and SMS. So this is a non-trivial set of instructions. Let's see how well Copilot Studio's Copilot handles that for us and creates, or not, all the things that we need it to do. All right, so we have a new topic called capture customer information, and it's explained what it's done. So it's added the questions: first name, last name, email address, postal address, phone number, date of birth, and how you like it collected. And you can see those topics are all in here. First name, last name, etc. Now, remember I said that, that we have different entity types. So it's going to get this as a person's name. Now, if it can't recognize this response as a person's name, it's going to offer to say, well, I don't understand what you meant. Can you try that again, please? Differently, similarly, it can confirm that it's getting an email address or a postal address or a phone number or a date. And then you'll notice it's got these multiple choice options here for email, post, phone, and SMS. And once we've done that, we're going to add a little message that says, now, this is where we would normally call out to a database or something and store this, or maybe in a SharePoint list or whatever it happens to be. I'm not going to do that now just for the sake of time, but so I'll just display a message pretending that I've done it. But I'm going to send a message, and the message is going to say something like, thanks. And we're going to put their first name in there, which we captured a second ago, which is here, first name. We'll be in touch via, how did you want me to contact you? Well, that was via contact method from time to time. All right, so I'm going to hit save here. Now, the last thing I want to do is go back to, the next thing I want to do is go back to our contact details page. And remember, if they did say yes, now I want to redirect to another topic, which is our capture customer information. Now, the cool thing about capturing customer information is that this might not be the only place we capture customer information from. So we can have it, this capture customer information topic, as something that people can go to from a number of different places. So we redirect capture customer information. So let's test this and see how it works. So I hit save, and I'll say, can I contact the association? Or even how can I contact the association? Now, so it tells me how to contact the association like it did before, and then it says, would you like to fill in a contact form? I'm going to say yes, and it's going to redirect off to the other form and says, okay, what's your first name? And what's your last name? Email address. They ask for so many things. And notice it didn't recognize this as a phone number structure for me for some reason, but it did recognize this. So it asked me again, and I'm going to get contacted by post. That seems like the most sensible way. And it says, thanks, Andrew. We'll be in touch via post from time to time. So you can see there that we've created this topic that is usable from anywhere inside the Copilot, and we've been able to call it from our contact form. So that's all very well. Now what we want to do is make it available for anybody to use. So I'm going to go into settings here, and because we want to make it available for anybody to use, I'm going to go into security and make the authentication method no authentication, which means that anybody with the address for the bot will be able to get to it, which is fine in this particular case. That's what we want. I'm going to hit channels in our settings. And there's a bunch of different places I could publish it to. In this particular case, I'm just going to publish it to our demo website. And I'm just going to add a little bit of mayo on it. And conversation starters. There's some options that people could try. And I'm going to hit save. Copy this because we'll need that in a second. And finally, I'm going to hit publish. And publish means that rather than just living in my local area, it's now available on this endpoint that we've created. So it'll do a quick check. It'll make sure everything's okay. And of course, you don't have to publish with a click like this. You can publish through a pipeline. You can do it through all sorts of ALM techniques. It goes either through GitHub or Azure DevOps or a number of other different ways. There are APIs for it. We publish it with a single click. And I'm just going to go to that site. And here is Cricket Umpire Bot. You can ask about laws or contact us. And here we go. What is the role of the captain? Beautiful. Now, cool thing is that you can send this to anybody now to play with. So what I'm going to do here is create a QR code. And if you would like to play with this, he said, you snap this QR code, you should be able to go and ask the umpire bot questions. You should be able to do it on your phone or your iPad, and it should all be a responsive website. All those things that we just saw happening should be working there. Give you a couple more seconds to snap it if you haven't done it yet. And you can ask me for it. In fact, I might even, yeah, that'll do for now. So that is the demo of the of creating a new bot. Let me go back to my deck. And we'll go to here, which is where we were. So what we saw here was, yeah, thanks, Pete. Excellent. Those of you who were on the chat will should be able to get at that QR code again. What we saw here was a bunch of different ways that you can interact. We can chat over that knowledge with our generative AI, which we saw with the laws of cricket. We can create a new topic. We can create actions and plugins. I didn't show you that, but there's a bunch of different ways we can connect to existing or new services or flows with things like Power Automate. We can publish it to a bunch of different places. We saw it to a website, but there's a bunch of channels you can publish it to, including Facebook, and WhatsApp's just come out, and WeChat, and a bunch of others. It comes with telemetry out of the box and analytics, as well as the ability to tie it into a heap of existing services. And that single pane of glass with our SaaS service allows us to create, to author, to test, to monitor, and to deploy a really, really powerful capability. And we use exactly the same techniques for extending existing copilots as we do for creating new copilots from scratch. So how do you decide which copilot to use? And here's an interesting way of thinking about it. The only way of drawing this was with sort of a flow chart and arrows and squares that were different, were separate from all the others. I don't want you to think of it that way. I want you to think of it as all kind of melded together and blended, because none of these things is mutually exclusive. If you want a generative AI enabled chat application and you don't want to write it yourself, then there are some options around Bing Chat Enterprise and M365 Copilot. If you don't mind building it yourself, then you've got Copilot Studio and Azure AI Studio. But if you've got M365 Copilot and you want to write some of it yourself, that's okay, because we've got Copilot Studio. If you've got Bing Chat Enterprise and you want to take advantage of its output and put it out and use it for some development work you're doing in Azure AI Studio or in Copilot Studio, you can do that. These things are not mutually exclusive. You just use the bits that make sense for the task, the particular subtask at hand. So that's the beauty of this ecosystem. Is it's not a matter of once you go down a particular path you can't turn back or turn to the side. These things all work together to make it much simpler and much easier to write and use your copilots. So folks, that's what I have. I hope that's been helpful. Some what does Dave Plummer say? Some combination of educational and entertaining. And I hope that you've got an idea about what copilots are, some of the copilots that are available from Microsoft, and some of the ways that you can enhance those copilots or create your own. Thanks very much. And I don't know if you're talking, but I can't hear you. Fairly confident the people in the room can hear you. Unless you're also doing that interpretive mind. There you are, you're back. No? Now we've
Have you got me?
Yep.
Yeah, there we go.
Got you now.
Turn that one off. Much better now?
Yep.
all good.
Well, we'll work it out for the next meeting. Normally I should just be able to connect. Normally I should be able to connect and it should just connect up, but as you can see, we've had some technical difficulties with that. Yeah.
Can you unmute the room? Because it
Yeah,
seems
the
like it's
room's-
muted.
The room's muted at the moment.
Dan, I'm just going to guess what you said. You're very welcome. Thanks for having me. I look forward to seeing how it all goes. All the best for those
Right,
in
you got me
Adelaide.
now.
Yes, mate. Got you now.
Right. Any questions for Andrew? I know Copilot's quite a large topic, and I'm going to get the echo. And it is quite large. I mean, we've got it in Office, we've got it in Windows, we've got it throughout 365, throughout the Windows desktop experience now as well. So picking a point on where do you actually want to start with Copilot is kind of, hard. So I thought that's where we'd take an introductory view in terms of what Copilot can actually do, Red Copilot Studio, because that is going to be one of the main ways that it's going to come through the pipeline, so to speak. In terms of actual questions for Andrew, does anyone have any way you can hear me? Yep. You say it, I'll repeat it if you can't hear it.
I'm developing for another company, for their particular Azure instance.
Yep.
Do they need to have the license, or can I use mine to create and then report to them?
Did you hear that, Andrew?
I didn't, but I think it was a licensing question.
It was, and I can repeat
Yeah.
for you if you want.
So is the $200 per user, $200 a month per user?
Not per user.
And is
no,
that then
no,
license only in that tenancy?
no. So your $200 a month gets you 25,000 messages. And a message is an interaction with the Copilot. Now, if you do a generative answer interaction, that counts as 2 messages. So if I ask a question and then the Copilot goes off and generates an answer for me, that counts as 2. But if I ask a question and it's done with a topic to come back, then it counts as just 1. Pete just answered the question as well. I think maybe directly to me. Pete, you can jump in there, mate.
So yes, you'll need Copilot license on their tenancy. Yep. Rather than yours and then going to there. So if you were doing work with me, you'd have to put it on my tenancy.
There's a note here in the.
Sorry, Pete.
No, it's all cool. I'm just putting stuff directly to Andrew rather than in the group chat to if he can't hear what's being said.
But if you've got an answer to the question, mate, that I haven't got an answer to,
No. I'm steering clear of licensing too.
It's always been my policy.
Anyone got any other question before I type more in?
There's one more in the chat here that I wouldn't mind addressing.
Yeah, we got Debbie coming out with the good tricky ones.
So Joe asks, should be interested in a workshop to create a Copilot from scratch. And Heidi jumps in and says, is there a Copilot in the Day workshop? ? Yes, there is a Copilot in the Day workshop. Be a great thing for a partner or a local person to run either on their premises or at Microsoft there in Adelaide. Lots of fun. It's actually a fun thing to do, to create a Copilot from scratch and then and look at some of the cool things you can do with it. much more in depth than what I could do in that sort of 15 or 20 minute demo.
Hi, Debbie.
So I asked in the chat box, is one hand, one bounce about
Should I leave these connection strings at a deal? Sorry.
Sorry,
Any connection strings that it's a deal, should I leave them?
Debbie, can you try it one more time? Or maybe Dan, can you try one more time with that mute the way you've got it now? No,
Is the one hand, one bounce allowed with the chat bot?
Oh, it's one hand, one bounce allowed. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, I think not if you pointed at the MCC Laws of Cricket site. You'd have to point it at a different site.
It come up and said it was allowed, apparently. Have you seen? Yeah, AI is not exactly 100% at the moment. I mean, when I started getting into AI before the whole Copilot thing, we were getting about 80%. So if you can get 80% out of it, 20% you have to do yourself, that's fine, in my opinion, as a baseline. And where that comes from is we were tagging media. So we've got marketing, they've got 1,000 images, they don't want to go through it. How do we actually use AI to sort of lessen that load and then have it tag through, and then we come in and go, okay, well, that's not a dog, it's actually a cat. And off it goes through there. Yep.
Do your job. That's still do your job.
Yeah.
Treat it like it's an assistant, nothing more.
There's, I suppose, horses for courses in this sense with how we interact with Copilot. It can be used as an assistant, summarize my unread emails and summarize this document. But getting, say, into the Power App side, Power BI side, I can say, create this workflow, create these actions. As time goes on, I suspect more and more it will be used as a creation tool as well. So create these bookings, create this scheduled task, create this database. It's all just going to go through, rather than the days of, say, opening up SQL Server Management Studio. You just go Windows C and get Copilot, and off you go. And it would start to create, provision, and do all of that lovely stuff. But we're a little bit away from that at the moment. But at the moment, it's hard because there's 1,000 different things you can use Copilot for at the moment as well.
You can use swarming to check the answer. Actually works quite well. Yeah, I can expand the response. That in the chain somehow, the chain comes off and then go on top.
I'm not sure if you heard that, Andrew. Can you get I suppose the conversational chain to check the answers automatically by itself? So if you do ask, is one hand, one bounce possible, before it says yes, does it actually check for internal? It's the word I'm thinking of.
Let me explain how it works by default, and then I'll explain how you could do that. Yeah.
Sort of have an editor before it goes to publish.
Yeah. So the way it works by default for that particular version of generative AI, which is the one on the website, is that behind the scenes it's simply doing a Bing search, which is constrained to that site, and it's getting a series of results, and then it's taking those results and running them through a what we call a RAG engine, so retrieval augmented generation engine, which takes the answers and takes the content that's been returned by the search and creates a nicely written answer with citations. What you can do is, and then we just told it to whatever it came back with, just give us that. what you can do is you don't have to show that answer straight away. You can do something else with it. So if you wanted to go and call a different LLM or call a different model to go and say, is this true given the laws of cricket? You could certainly do that. Is this a correct answer? You could certainly do that. It would take longer and it would be more expensive, but it's certainly something you could do. And because you've got this complete control, because it's a Turing complete programming interface, you can do whatever you like with it, including calling out the other services. You can also, the other thing you can do is you can you actually also have. Let me actually, I'm gonna share my screen again for just one sec. When we go back to our topics, I didn't show you how this worked, but if I go back to topics in the system topics, the conversational boosting topic, which is the one that does the bits that we needed to do, in here, if we look at its properties, we have the a couple of options. We can turn up or down content moderation, and then we can give it a custom prompt. Essentially, we can insert our own prompt or insert our own instructions into the existing prompt for how to handle what's going on. So if you don't do anything, and you get the default prompt, but you can actually
I think the
put
short
some
answer is no.
additional instructions in here
for that,
which is where you might put some of that instruction to go and check it somewhere else.
Yeah. From my
But
understanding,
it doesn't do internal
crunch it
internal
through
fact
the
checking.
Microsoft
It does,
black box of generative
it doesn't out of the
AI
box,
and
but you could
output
probably do it. You could probably do fact checking explicitly rather than implicitly. It doesn't do it implicitly. It doesn't do it automatically.
I mean, that will come, but in order, I suppose another way to look at it is Copilot thinks it's right at the moment. So, hey, yeah, one hand, one bounce, that's illegal. But hold on, let me just check the rules. Oh, wait, no, it's not. So it's kind of assuming that it itself is correct rather than, hey, I'm not correct, and then checking again. Through obviously the logic AI and all this sort of stuff, you can definitely have it go over it again, but it's just another request.
Sure. All right. So, like I did promise I would be shorter than what I have been. Yeah, you're wanting a Copilot. Exactly right, Pete.
Hold on 2 seconds, Andrew. Sorry.
Could you repeat that, Daniel?
Yep.
There are ways that you can classify data, so it would be sensitive or by certain patterns.
Yeah, no. So this is the big one. Whatever you've got access to, Copilot's got access to as you. If you don't know that you've got access to it, Copilot will know that you've got access to it. Fine. If it's misfiled and can it then say, hey, this should be sensitive? No, but you can get that with your sensitivity and retention labels in that sort of category. Will it become more in the future? Yes, because the chain of information, let's say if I'm doing a super secret, I'll use the Microsoft example of Project Obsidian, and I go, hey, I want the budget figures for Project Obsidian, and that's classified as secret or sensitive or not general or confidential. My derivative information will automatically get the worst or most restrictive. But in terms of actually, hey, this is about Project Obsidian, this should be classified as sensitive. So if it finds something that's misfiled, that's not labeled, nah, it's just plain text, it's just going to eat them up. In the future, will it? Potentially, but this will come down to also things like finding out ABNs, credit card details, tax file numbers of your edge devices as well, through Exchange, through SharePoint, through OneDrive, through Copilot. So it's going to be another edge, so to speak. Automatic classification, sort of maybe with SharePoint Premium as well. That will definitely help where if you upload a document and let's just say, bad example off the top of my head, all your invoices are marked confidential. and it detects that it's an invoice, it will automatically apply what security and sensitivity you have to that record. But that record of invoice versus proposal, that's going to have the difference. That's where it finds it, rather than going, oh, it's actually Project Obsidian, we've got to label it. It won't do it that way. It will have to look for a template, a pattern recognition to give it a document type. Back in the day of SharePoint, if anyone knows content types, this is what we're talking about. It will label it as a specific content type. But in terms of actually going and hunting and finding, no. I've been pushing, I've been trying. So that's been one of the bigger ones, is the whole what Copilot can find as you is what you have access to. But traditionally, say on file shares, and certainly with the web, is you may have granted access, or you may have been granted access through a group that you don't know that you've got access on a file because you weren't in that email. So if you iterate over the file share, you might be able to find bits and pieces that you actually have access to that you shouldn't have access to.
Let's say you got 5 Excel spreadsheets with half a million records in each. How far does this go before it goes up to too much?
Andrew, that's definitely one for you on that.
I'm afraid that I can't hear.
Yep, the data limit. So if you've got several Excel spreadsheets that say it's got 500,000 rows in each, how much can Copilot consume within those worksheets? Can it consume the whole 500,000, or is there a limit?
So we're talking about slightly different technologies. Remember I said before we did a Bing search for the public website. If you're doing, if you're using Copilot for Microsoft 365, then you get the graph semantic search on the documents inside there. And so it'll use semantic search, which means it'll do indexing based on the content, pretty much of any size document. If you're not using Microsoft 365 Copilot, but you still point it at a SharePoint site, for example, then it'll use the graph keyword search, which may not be quite as effective to do that.
Great box. Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of these limits, I mean, SharePoint, yet again, because I'm a SharePoint go back to SharePoint. I mean, we could only have 5,000 documents in the document library. Now we're up to 20,000, and now officially we're up to 100. So Microsoft's, I suppose, view in this sense is we're not looking at limitations per se. It's they will go over time if they are there. It's just brand new technology that's fun.
Further to
That-
question on XMP9.
Yep.
Is there any way to see what information to repair? Like you want to say, what's the date now?
Yeah. I've chatted with some of the sessions, and their official answer was OneDrive should be able to tell you. I don't believe that, to be honest, because it doesn't show me where and what and how I've got access to throughout the SharePoint sites, essentially. My go-to at the moment has been PowerShell, is to actually just see what I can access, iterate over the whole thing as that user. But yeah, we're going to need better experience. No. Copilot sits more, hey, you've already got the access rather than what access do you have. They're sort of on that side of that fence, if that makes sense. So yes, I'm trying to get straight answers to it. Is there a way to find out what we have access to, but it's limited. Third-party products obviously fill this hole with forms and things like that. But out of the box, no.
Dan, I'm going to love you and
Any
leave
other
you.
questions at all?
I'm going to call it
Andrew,
there, I'm
go.
afraid. So congratulations on starting the new group. I'm really pleased to see that you're all there. I'm really excited that there's so much interest in Copilot. You're in great hands there with Daniel and the team in Adelaide. I'd love to come over there at some stage and do an in-person as you discussed, but we'll have to see how that works with the current role and the travel budgets and so on. But in the meantime, keep using Copilot, have a play with it, and see what you can get done. Thanks all.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Much appreciated.
See you. Bye.
So, yes, we will be meeting again on the 6th of March. I think I'm right on the 6th. First Wednesday of the month. Yep, excellent. And I do appreciate everyone this afternoon taking the time to sort of come here and get involved. No, the sound wasn't the best. We will get all that sorted out before next time when I come in with all mucked up the system. That's why I'm sharing the screen and doing all this, but we'll be right for next month. I'll get Andrew to test it out next week in his user group. You can configure it for me, Andrew, next week. And yeah, so I do appreciate everyone. As I said, we will be running right up until December. In terms of speakers, presenters, I've got a whole bunch of AI ones. I shall push up the list tonight. And that should take us through to about November, pretty much. I got Jeremy thinking November. So. And we'll obviously be having a few other events as well. Copilot is lightning hot at the moment, and there is just so many different ways to approach Copilot.